Hello, and welcome to our video on how to play the Brandon Sanderson Call to Adventure Stormlight Archive game. We're going to be doing two videos on this. This video will just be an instruction on how to set up and play the game, and then next week we'll be doing a video on us actually playing a game, so you can watch us actually play and see how it plays. Cool, so let's jump right into that.
Okay, so let's start with what you find in the box. Within the box, you'll find the World Hopper's Guide to Roshar if you brought the deluxe version. This is a really cool little book filled with some absolutely amazing artwork and information about all the different parts of Roshar. This book is perfect for anyone that hasn't encountered the Stormlight Archive and an enjoyable read for even those that are familiar with the series. And then we get to the manual with all of the game rules, which hopefully you won't need, but you probably will after watching this. Next, there are player boards, which we will get into more detail about later on in the video. Next is the tray containing all of the runes pieces, which we'll also be explaining in a few minutes. On the final layer, you'll find all your cards. Right, so starting with these cards here, these are your hero and anti-hero cards, coloured black and white for the good and bad abilities they'll give you throughout the game. You have your experience tokens here, represented by small rubies, like the ones you'll find in Fabrials. These are score sheets that let you count up your points at the end of the game to see who has won. There's a lot of points to count up at the end of this game. Then we get to our challenge and trait cards, which are split into three types. You have Act 1 cards with 1 on the back, Act 2 cards with a 2 on the back, and Act 3 cards with a 3 on the back. Then you have your character cards, which every player will have 3 at the beginning of their game. First are the cards with the copper trees on top. These are your origin cards. Next are the silver tree cards, and these are your motivation cards. And finally, you have the gold tree cards, which are your destiny cards. The last cards you'll find in the box are the odium cards, which have skulls on the back of them. If you brought the deluxe edition, you'll also find 2 shiny cards in here. A shiny Kaladin for the Windrunner card and a shiny odium. And that is everything that is included in your Call to Adventure Stormlight Archive game edition.
Next, I'll walk you through how to set up a player before playing the game. First, each player gets one of the player boards. Each player then starts with 3 experience tokens, 2 of the origin cards, 2 of the motivation cards, 2 of the destiny cards, and 1 hero card. The player then looks at their origin, motivation, and destiny, and picks one of each pair. Here I will pick Merchant, Horizon Seeker, and Dustbringer. They will then show the other players their origin and motivation cards, but keep their destiny card hidden until the last act of the game. When deciding which origin, motivation, or destiny to pick, it's good to look at the abilities that each card provides. You can then pick the abilities that have a synergy to them. For example, the Horizon Seeker card gives you +1 Constitution when journeying on your turn, whilst the Dustbringer card gives you an extra victory point for every Constitution card you have. So this card allows you to get Constitution cards more easily, and this card gives those cards more value. The player will also want to put their hero token on the hero anti-hero track. You start here unless one of your cards says otherwise. Your game board is now set up to play your first turn. Before we continue, I will go through the other types of runes. There are 6 main types of rune. There is Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. There are also speciality runes, like this white triangle, which gives you an extra hero card. Black triangles that give you extra anti-hero cards. A dual black and white triangle that lets you pick between one hero or one anti-hero card. The white diamond, which gives you extra experience token. The dark rune success token. And the dark rune fail token.
Your next step before playing is to set up the 3 acts for the game. You have Act 1, Act 2 and Act 3. The first player will turn over the first 5 cards of the Act 1 deck and place them on a table for all to see. There are 3 types of cards that you can draw from these decks. You can get challenge cards which have 2 choices on them, a top and a bottom, as well as a requirement to meet to make the challenge. You have trait cards which don't cost anything to gain but do give you the abilities and rewards that can help you throughout the game. And you also have ally cards. These cards get placed behind a challenge card of the drawing player's choice. If you succeed in a challenge, you also receive this ally. If you fail a challenge, the ally is discarded with the challenge. Allies also add an additional point to the requirement for beating a challenge, but once you have an ally, they provide you with special abilities that can help you during your turn. If you do turn over an ally, it gets placed behind a challenge of your choosing, and you draw a new card from the deck. In order to progress onto Act 2 of the game, your origin needs to have 3 Act 1 cards behind it. So, if you pass 2 challenges and gain a trait, your origin now has 3 cards behind it, and you can move on to Act 2. Each player needs to get 3 cards behind their origin before they can move on to the next act. Just like in Act 1, you still have challenges, allies and traits, only now they are placed behind your motivation cards. Once again, you will need to complete challenges to gain traits until you have 3 cards under your motivation. Only then can you move on to Act 3. So, just like before, on your first turn in Act 3, you turn over the top 5 cards. Act 3 only has challenge cards, so make sure you're prepared. You will need to defeat 3 challenges in order to complete Act 3. These 3 cards will go underneath your Destiny card. Your Destiny card should be revealed at the beginning of the first Act 3 turn if it's not been revealed already. Once you have completed Act 3, the game is over for you. The first player to get 3 challenges under their Destiny card has not won, but it is the end of the game for them. Each additional player will now get one last turn to try and gain some extra points before the end of the game.
I'm now going to walk you through how to play an act of Call to Adventure. Here you have all of your act cards at the top, and on your player board you have your origin and motivation. For my origin I've chosen Merchant, which gives me 1 intelligence and 1 charisma. If we look at the act cards I can choose, I can challenge one of these 3 challenges or gain one of these traits. Since I already have 1 intelligence, gaining another intelligence would be a good strategy for me. So I'm going to want to attempt this challenge, Desert the Army, which requires me to roll a 4 plus 1 to the difficulty from the ally, so I'll need a 5. On every challenge card you'll see that there are 2 challenges. There is a top challenge, which is usually the easier one, and the bottom challenge, that sometimes has a +1 modifier on it, similar to the ally cards. So if I was to escape justice, I would only require a 4. But if I try and leave no one behind, this would require a 5. As I already have an intelligence and a charisma, this means that when I roll for challenges, I get the 3 base runes, as well as the intelligence rune, and a charisma rune, if those challenges allow for those runes. All of the base runes have a 1 on one side, 2 of them are blank on the other side, and the final has a draw card rune. All of the special rune icons have 1s on one side and 2s on the other. So when it's a symbol, it's a 2, and when it's just the slash, it's a 1. There are 3 of each rune. The first 2 you use are always the ones without any extra symbols on them. The third one you pick up is always the one with the 3 dots on it. So on your turn, you will either take a challenge or gain a trait. On my first turn, I'm going to gain the Light Eyes trait, as this grants me the ability that on my next turn, I gain +2 to any strength, wisdom or charisma paths, and since I will be looking to gain charisma, this would be a really advantageous card for me to get. Once I've taken the trait, I replace it with an additional card from the pile. For my second turn, I will be attempting the Desert the Army challenge. So I will gather the 3 base runes, plus the intelligence rune I get from my origin. Whatever I roll with these, I get +2 from my Lytos card as a result. So with these runes, I really only need to get a 3 to pass the challenge. Excellent, so I rolled 3 1s and a 2, which is 5. Plus the 2 from the Light Eyes card means I got 7, so I pass the Desert the Army challenge. So now I take the card and place it underneath my origin card, and my ally next to my board. I then replace the card on the track. The last thing you can do on your turn, other than gaining a card, is to journey. You do this by paying an experience to discard one of the cards on the track. So if I discard this card, I can then replace it with another from the deck. It's important to note that this doesn't end your turn, so you can now try the new challenge or gain a new trait. If you fail a challenge, for example if I tried the Steal a Fortune challenge, I only rolled a 1 here and a draw card token. The 1 is not enough for me to pass this challenge, which means this goes in the discard pile and is replaced. You do gain an experience when you fail a challenge, because failure is a learning opportunity. During my turn, I can also play cards. For example, I just drew the A Man's Worth card, which can be played before a challenge and adds 1 to the attempt unless the challenge has an ally on it, in which case it adds 3. On my third turn, I could decide to go for another challenge, or acquire one of these traits. So if I take the Thief trait, this allows me to gain an experience from another hero. That would then be my third card underneath my origin, and this would allow me to progress to Act 2. On my next turn, as I am now in Act 2, I will turn over the top 5 Act 2 cards. Act 2 plays out just like Act 1, with more powerful cards and more difficult challenges. I will now explain the hero track that you can see on the side of your game board. During the game, you may pay an experience during a roll to use the dark runes. These are the black runes with a 1 on one side and a moon on the other. If it lands on the moon, this adds 2 to your roll, but that brings you down on the hero track. Moving up and down the track has different effects. Moving up the track gives you more victory point, so it goes 2, 4, 8. But this limits you to only using hero cards, as you can only play both hero and anti-hero at these points here. As you move down the track, you get 2, 4, then 0 victory points, and you can only play anti-hero cards. At the very bottom of the track, you get -4 victory points, and are no longer able to spend experience to play dark runes. There are various cards that allow you to move up and down the track, as well as the dark runes, which only move you down. The way to win the game is by getting as many points as possible through the various ways of scoring points. You have hero points, which are taken from any points that you have on your hero track, as well as your game board. Anti-hero points, you get these from the anti-hero track, as well as cards like Dark Eyes or Flee Your Slavers. For experience, you get 1 point for every experience you have saved. You get points for any cards that you've played, both hero and anti-hero cards. You do not get points for cards in your hand, only cards you've played. You also get points for story icons, which are these icons you can see on the cards, additional to victory and rune symbols. For every 2 of the same icon, you get 2 points. For every 3 of the same icon, you get 4 points. And for every 4 of the same icon, you get 8 points. This also includes the radiant icon you'll find on some cards. Once all players have counted all of their points, the player with the most points wins.
And that's how you play Stormlight Archive Call to Adventure. Feel free to tell us in the comments everything that we got wrong.
It's our first time doing one of these videos, so hopefully we did it well. We play a lot of board games, so we think we got it right. Tell us if we didn't. And enjoy playing Call to Adventure, the Stormlight Archive, Brandon Sanderson version. Cool. See you next time where we actually play a game. Bye!